We are now going to talk about the informative speech and what you need to know in order to complete this assignment. First of all, this is a speech that's going to be informing us about an event, a process, concept, or object. The topic is really wide open to you, but I have a few tips to help you make your selection of what you're going to talk about. The first thing is, if I were in class with you right now and I asked you for 5 things that you could give an impromptu speech on, and remember, an impromptu speech is one that's made with little or no preparation. So if I made you get up right now and give a 5-minute speech on something, what could you talk about? What would those 5 topics be? And whatever the answer to this question is, those are probably your best choices for an informative speech topic. Now, if this were me, there's a few things I could talk about off the top of my head. Nonverbal communication, I could talk about media literacy, I could talk about social media, the I generation, and advertising. So these are all things I could talk about without much preparation. I could talk about other things too. These are just happened to be the ones I thought of as I was creating this PowerPoint. For choosing the topic, I first of all want to pick something that I'm excited about. And so as I think about those 5 topics that I just mentioned, am I excited about them? That's going to be really important. Also, I want to pick something I know, which is why I said pick, what are things you could speak about impromptu. Which of these topics has value to your audience, is doable in this particular time limit, and won't take too much research. I'm not in a research class here. I don't want to teach you about doing papers. I just want you to have information for a speech and learn how to use information. So research isn't a big priority, even though I'm going to ask you to have a little bit of it. I go back to my list with those things in mind. Nonverbal communication, media literacy, social media, I generation, advertising. I know all of these topics, so I hit the first category there. Are they of value to my audience? Nonverbal communication might be, because I could tell you some interesting things, maybe about how to know if somebody really cares about you. What are some of those nonverbal signs? Media literacy, maybe I could make this of interest to you, but it's kind of a heavy topic, how to interpret media and make sure that you're shaping media in your life rather than letting the media shape who you are, how you think. Social media, yeah, maybe, but you know what? I bet you know a lot, maybe even more than I do, perhaps. The I generation, this is kind of cool. I like this. Maybe this would be of interest. It's this generation that was born in 1997 and after. And some 1997 children really are not part of the I generation. They're still part of the millennials. And there's some disagreement about who the I generation is exactly, but they act very differently than millennials. And I'm kind of fascinated and have recently become quite knowledgeable about this particular group of people. And advertising, wow, that's a huge topic. And how would I put down advertising into a small category? I'd have to figure out what's of value to the people I'm talking to, and can I actually cover it in 3 to 5 minutes, which is the informative speech time. So I had to think about all of these things. And you know what? If I was going to go through these categories, what I know, is it of value? Can I do it in 5 minutes? The I generation would be kind of a perfect topic for this, of who the generation is. I could talk, probably do topical of what are the years, and then kind of what defines. My first main point could be what defines the I generation. I could then talk about some of the values of the I generation and what this means for the greater population. Easily done in a speech like this. I want to make this speech to have some limited research, as I mentioned before. So it's low on research requirements, although I do have some research requirements. I want you to already know this topic somewhat. Don't just pick something kind of cool out there that you would like to learn about. This is kind of a waste of time, in my opinion, right now. This is public speaking, not English composition. But I do want you to have 3 sources because we need to talk about how to use sources in your speech and not to have everything come off the top of your head, frankly. So as you're looking for the sources, look for a source that might have a quote, something interesting for you to say, unusual information, something that you didn't know about this topic, but it's kind of fun, interesting, cool to talk to us about, an interesting idea, somebody who's taken this topic and maybe gone in a slightly different direction than you would have. So these are types of things to be able to have in there: detailed supporting material, subpoints, subpoints, subpoints. So you want 3 sources, and you do need to sort the sources out loud. According to Joe Schmo in a 2014 Sports Illustrated article, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Now, in this instance, we don't have to give as specific information as you would in a paper, but we have to give enough information that if somebody's interested, they could go to Google and probably find this. So if I have an author name, I have a name of a magazine and the year, I can probably find out more information about this article in 30 seconds. And if I might be a little bit more elaborate if it's a scholarly piece. Dr. Melanie Grant research on primates was published in the Journal of Medicine, April 2015. But I'm not going to give the journal number. I'm not going to give the page numbers, things like that. And if I'm citing a book, I'm not going to give the publisher or the city of publication. I'm just going to usually give the title of the book, probably the year the book was published, and the author name if it's important. So I do need sources out loud, but not as much as you would in a research paper. The time for this speech is 3 to 5 minutes. And I'd like you to record this speech with 2 audience members, and let's get that full body shot from head to toe for most of the speech. If you have somebody working the camera for you and they want to zoom in on you, that's fine, but don't do it too often. Let's have it mostly to be a full body, as if I were an audience member, how I would be looking at you. Delivery. For the delivery, you know what? I want you to focus on your strong points. What are those things that you've done well in these previous speeches? So much of my philosophy of public speaking is that we do not need to have a laundry list of 100 different things for you to be thinking about. I want you to think about what you did well. So on the first speeches, if I said you had good facial expressions, I want you to think, yeah, that's what I do well, so let me keep doing it. Don't let me try to change what I've done that's well. If you had good gestures, keep using them. And I just want you to think about 1 to 3 things to improve upon. Things that either I've mentioned, your classmates have mentioned, or that you noticed as you're watching yourself. So that's all I want you to do for delivery. I don't want you to try to do everything that a good delivery is supposed to have. Just do what you do well, 1 to 3 things to improve on, and let everything else go by the wayside at this point. We still have a number of more speeches, and I don't want you to get overwhelmed, and I don't want you to start doubting. So ignore everything except strong points and 1, 2, or 3 things to improve upon. High priority concerns for this speech. I want you to have a strong introduction, and I want you to grab that attention. I want you to really make people want to listen. So not just think about this. I want you to make us go, bam, listen to me. Okay? So think about that. Your intro should reveal the topic and make your audience feel good towards you. The body of your speech, clear main points. I want you to have identifiable details. And then your conclusion should signal the end of your speech. Give a summary of your main points and have a strong last sentence.